So, it's been confirmed from Viz themselves that Disney Plus, in fact, owns the rights to the Bleach IP. But there's more. Let's get into it. So after months of speculating, Disney Plus finally have Bleach, considering it's been released from Viz themselves. Now, taking into consideration of what I just said, yes, Hulu do in fact own the rights to the Bleach IP, as well as it being streamed on Hulu as well, strictly for North America, which if you Americans don't know, the rest of the world don't have Hulu. So internationally, Disney Plus will be having this. And as well, if you guys also don't know, is that I may or may not have said, I can't really remember, that yes, Hulu will eventually migrate into Disney Plus, though that deal is kind of on the table. There's an article like right here on screen, as you can see. But regardless of what, that's where you can watch it in the United States, and we have the leak obviously from Canada, that of course Disney Plus will be on Canada as well for Bleach. So what about the rest of the world? Well, here's the thing, even though that internationally Disney Plus will be having Bleach, it seems we go back to the simulcast in question. Now, we know that of course in America we are going to be getting a simulcast. However, the rest of the world is a bit more on the other side of the question, and while this is forever changing, and this has probably been one of the most frustrating things for me, because people say I lied, and then there's people that say I didn't. Here's the situation with that. Even though it is simulcast in America, Viz Media on their own website says that there is other countries, or the simulcast in itself may be vary from country to country, meaning that we still don't know that in France, Germany, Brazil, wherever you are, the UK, from where I'm at, we don't really actually know if it's going to be simulcast, and that is one of the main problems in all of this, and that's where a bit of the tie-up has come from, considering that I did say it's not going to be simulcast because of these factors that have been presented towards you. It's not that I was right or wrong in this situation, it means that there's just many different countries that are varying from place to place, and considering that my source is from Europe, I'm going to get many different answers and questions in regarding to that. So at the end of the day, we are one step closer to understanding where all of this stems from. And going back to the original argument that I made from the very first video about Disney that I made, is that in a sense there is a part of me that is very conflicted, because in a sense I do like the idea that, you know, Crunchyroll can't have a monopoly on anime. You know, I do like the competition, and maybe Bleach will get more eyes seen upon it if it's on Disney rather than Crunchyroll, of course. Though Crunchyroll did have the, you know, the idea that it would always be streamed everywhere wherever the license, you know, for that site would come from. However, there have been some few criticisms that I did overreact to this, or make it more of a bigger deal than it should have been. But I do generally think it not being simulcast in Europe, if that is the case, again depending on country to country, and I want to make that very solidly clear, is that it is still important, because not everyone really has the convenience of a PC. More will they use a VPN, and most people watch on their TV or even on their consoles, for example. So a VPN doesn't really come into the equation in that front, and you're kind of limiting the amount of people that are going to watch it if this is in fact the case, especially on a weekly basis. Now, of course, Bleach will always have a fandom that will always try and find their own ways to watch the Bleach IP. However, for me personally, I always try to look at the bigger scale of things, of how this can be promoted or marketed or have fresh new eyes and increase Bleach's popularity, rather than the one that we already self-sustain at the moment currently. And that is my provocative of how I present these videos, and this is why I criticize Viz's marketing so much as that I do. While Bleach doesn't necessarily need it, it does if it wants to kind of project itself outside of the bubble that it's already currently in. Anyways, why would Japan market Bleach the way that it already does? And we'll do a video talking about that separately. But fundamentally speaking, even though we did get one step forward in knowing who the platform is, which is a good thing, and finally, the fandom outside of America cannot watch Bleach legally currently at the moment, unless you live in America. Again, I have to reiterate that, because obviously Crunchyroll don't have it anymore, Netflix don't have it, and I'm sure a bunch of other streaming platforms don't have it either. And again, this is a bit of the problem, because if the leaks are in fact correct, especially from the ones that we saw from the Canadian leak, is that we won't even be getting Bleach seasons 1 to 16 until even like the 24th to the 26th of October, which I believe, again, I'm just going from the top of my head, is that you are potentially having a full month when nobody can watch this series whatsoever to even get to the 1,000-Year Blood War in the first place. So all those new fans that were catching up to get into the series before the new season came out, those people aren't going to be able to watch it anymore, or they're probably going to be discouraged from carrying on watching it, because simply people like convenience, and that's just the fact of the matter. Not everyone, again, is going to go to those, you know, illegal sites to go watch it because it's very unconventional to people. And that's mainly one of the big reasons why I disliked or had a distaste for the reason why it went off of Crunchyroll at the timing that it did. Because Viz themselves could have given Crunchyroll a little bit of a temporary or seasonal release of Bleach until obviously the Disney thing had gone through. Because realistically, if Disney doesn't really air Bleach until like the 24th to the 26th of October from season 1 to 16, then technically they could have given Crunchyroll a bit of an extended 30-day of having the Bleach license. But again, I'm not the one at the table here discussing that. And of course, as of the recording of this video as well, there is a point on the Viz Media website as well that says if you've missed Bleach or are rewatching it or watching it, there's a digital sale going on. Thank you, Viz. I didn't realise your reach really kind of was on the same level as all the other popular streaming services out there for people to know. So not only did Crunchyroll not give people an idea that it was going to get expired, but also you just really wanted to just hammer that in on a blog post website and not even on your social media account. Seems I don't even know. Just seems a bit bad. You just can't make the meme up. This road of the license has been a heavy one, it has been a confusing one, and it hasn't been in anyone's favour from the licensing perspective or the fans' perspective in general. And I really do hope that the simulcasting rights for Europe and other parts of the country as well really manage to be able to watch Bleach in a convenient way that isn't really limiting at all. Granted, we'll be able to see what the news that Viz Media has to drop on the 8th of October in a few days to see what they have to say for themselves and see what else they have under their sleeve, but I really doubt up until this point on, until the start of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, that people are going to be managing to even speedrun the Bleach anime. They would have to literally start now if they have any chance of catching up to the series from start to finish to even get to that season. So we are in a bit of a predicament. From seeing it on a long-term perspective, it's not really that good, but regardless of what, there's not really much to say other than that, other than to say, hey, look, people can now prepare of where to spend their money, whether they want to go to Disney Plus, whether they want to cancel Crunchyroll, whatever they want to do. At least people are now in the know finally. And again, this situation is just a bit confusing. I do hope that all of Europe again get the license to simulcast, because again, the ball is in Viz's court. They're the ones with the license, they're the ones with the agreements to say, hey, look, Disney, if you want this license, you have to conform to these conditions that we have set upon you. That is ultimately their job, unless the bank was just so big that Viz were like, hey, look, you're paying way too much money to the point where we can't really debate you on the licensing agreements anymore. So we don't really know what the situation is realistically. We can only kind of just guess. And I understand that, and I don't really want to push a narrative in any way, shape, or form. But again, Disney have the license. They won. And, you know, Crunchyroll, it is a shame that, you know, you couldn't, using Sony's money, you know, have the budget or the money to really outbid Disney in this case, which I had a lot of people in my first video say, you know, Sony, you know, they've got enough money to pay for this license, you know, this isn't Crunchyroll's money. I talked about how Crunchyroll have a quarterly budget to spend their money on for IPs, and clearly they just didn't have enough. Whether all that money went to Chainsaw Man or Spy Family, we really don't know. Clearly they didn't have enough money to pay for Bleach, which really makes me wonder, you know, how much was offered for Bleach. And I think this is all good for Bleach, regardless of if, you know, you watch it legally or have to pirate it. You know, I'm not condoning that. At the end of the day, the license has been paid, and Piro or Aniplex in Japan have had their money from Disney, I would imagine, at this point. So, you know, they've already got their bag. All we can do as the fandom, if it isn't simulcasted, is just try your best to watch it legally as best as you can. Fingers crossed for your countries in particular. Make some noise. Obviously, making noise does actually make a difference, believe it or not, you know. We are a big fan base to make a difference, and we have made a difference during these past few months, believe me. But honestly, all you can do at this point is just wait and hope for the best. And I really hope in a long-standing form that, you know, if Disney find this really successful, that they'll, you know, give more money to Aniplex or more money to Piro in the future, or more money to TV Tokyo, depending on the situation, and maybe put more priority than Bleach already does have into its quality and hell, and even future projects down the road, because that's also important as well. If you know, you can have Demon Slayer money, for example, you're going to have tons of things such as games, such as extended stuff from, you know, light novel adaptations. You know, if there is a want and if there's big money involved, which again Disney have already paid by the sounds of it, then that's always a good thing in terms of longevity. So yeah, I don't really know what to say on this. It's a bit of a mess. I'm glad we're a step forward. Sure, we took a few steps back, you know, going back to the original simulcasting problem, but you know, that's the situation that we're currently at the moment. If you're in the US, big dubs to you. If you're in Canada, big dubs to you. But if anywhere else, fingers crossed. And again, pray for Bleach in a sense. So I'm going to catch you guys later. You guys, of course, have this fine day being Hansen. And as always, people, peace out.